for liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. It's the 20th week of comics in 2024. Also, happy Victoria Day, long weekend, belated. Happy all that fun stuff. Happy Phantom Menace Day. I'm Matthew. He is Chris. This is the Tractor Beam. He is back. Your computer is back from the dead. Chris, how's it going?
Oh, feels great to podcast again, man. I was able to do the Outer Rim transmission this week just barely as I was finishing up settings on Sunday. But yeah, the motherboard went bad and had to basically start over from square one in a way. If you know anything about computers, motherboard goes, you got to replace Windows, which means all your settings go away and you got to do all that fun stuff. It's not really fun at all, but hey, at least I can have an extra bit of hardware space now, so that's one bright side of this. Not that I would tear the whole PC apart just for that, but hey, I can get more memory now. But it was basically a couple of days to be banging my head against the wall saying, why isn't this working? What the
you messaged me like, I have a crisis, and knowing you, it's probably wasn't like any kind of serious real life crisis with your computer, but you're a gamer too, and so clearly this is it's a kind of crisis, especially on a Wednesday. Was it did you message me on the Wednesday?
It was a Tuesday night, and then I think I tried all day Wednesday, and I was like, yeah, it's not gonna happen this week.
So speaking of where to actually find you, we'll get the full plugs out of the way, but you can follow us at Iron Cannon Pod on in Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. At Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANONPOD, and at Star Raptor, STARRAPTER. Of course, youtube.com/Star Raptor is where you can proof in the pudding, as if you're not watching right now, which you are, but proof in the pudding that you're back up and running. So there we go. We only have one book today. No book today, but we got a bit of news as well. But it's a bit of a doozy. A bit of a political, philosophical doozy. It's ongoing. It's Star Wars number 46 of 50, written by Charles Soule, art by Madabek Muzabekov, colors by Rochelle Rosenberg, cover by Steven Segovia and Rain Barreto. Operation Rescue Mon Mothma. The fate of the Rebel Alliance has become intertwined with accused traitor Lando Calrissian. If he fails, so will the rebellion. Leia Organa must mount a desperate rescue mission if there is any hope of defeating the evil Galactic Empire. The big thing that stood out to me, and this is all what I like to do, my way into comics reviews sometimes. What's one thing that stands out? Anytime a highly intelligent character is sitting down and laying their cards out on the table there, saying, yeah, this is what I think, this is what I care about, this is what I believe, this is how I've reasoned my way through things, I'm going to find that interesting. I'm just going to stand out. And so here Mon Mothma is being interrogated by this character. I forget her name. What's her name? I don't know. I can't see. I have the comic right here in front of me. But she's being interrogated. But it's kind of a conversation. It's almost halfway between an interrogation and a press interview. And free to actually go into it. And she starts off with this kind of philosophical reflection on the Empire and how the Empire just dictates to everybody who they are, what they can do, what they can own, what they can have, and what their names are, because to the Empire they're nothing. And this person who's kind of interrogating, questioning her. I should look this up. I have it right in front of me. While we'll figure that out. She's like, that's boring. Get concrete, basically, and says, okay. So she tells the story about a peach.
Yeah.
Growing up on Chandrila, there's this peach she loved to eat, and And one day the Empire came in, and this moth loved this peach, and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Have all the peaches." And this for Mon Mothma, this is a very concrete, literal thing that happens. Um, says, "Okay, I'm gonna have all the peaches, and then nobody can have the peaches because you know they don't like the Empire doesn't like fun, clearly." And so the value of the simple pleasure of enjoying a peach is stamped out in favor of what's oddly enough just a very individualized ego on the part of the moth. But really, you know, it's just funny. So, well, here's the thing that really strikes me is it's a very libertarian line that leads Mon Mothma to be radicalized for a rebellion, which is strange because us liberal folks were all social, you know controlling not controlling the means of production, but regulating governments that regulate the means of production. We tend to prefer those, and yet there's the extreme danger of it, right? I mean, the extremes of Marxist Leninism, Maoism, got to guard against those two, and how the empire, oddly enough, I mean, the empire, well, this character makes a great point. It's good to the rich, kind to the rich, because it has the worst of capitalism.
Hey, excuse me, real quick. Your mic is kind of going in and out a little bit. I don't know if you might want to reposition that.
Oy,
Oh, that sounds way better
that's
already.
better. All right, maybe I just need to. Is this better? Is this better?
Yeah, way better. Yeah.
Man, both Monday and today. Okay, here we go. I'll keep going with the train of thought. How the empire, is the worst of capitalism. The consolidation of the market into private corporations, but it's a consolidation of the market into private corporations allied with this repressive regime. And to say, each person can have their peach and eat it too, ought to have their pursue their career, pursue their dream, and not be free from government interference because they have a name and they have an identity. And so for Mon Mothma, this really fascinating moment of insight into her radicalization. The great moment we see in Rebels, where I come back to this. It's a key moment in her story where she stands up and declares. I mean, she had decided this already, but she declares she resigns her Senate seat and says, "I'm going to go and take part in this rebellion." And of course, is the natural leader of it, which is why it's so important that she gets rescued. And someone like Lando, who is facing well, that's the thing. Lando's trial is also a trial for the soul of the rebellion. Yeah, General Maydean wants to chuck him out in an airlock because he broke the rules. But what if what if he? I mean, it's revealed that he's just helping his friend, helping him be himself. He's willing to face the consequences of putting rebellion security at risk, but are those consequences, at what cost will those consequences come? Now we know how important Lando is to the story. So, again, a really fascinating moment with Mon Mothma saying two things. First off, these two moments of radicalization that Lando himself has gone through. First, you see how corrupt and evil the Empire is, and then you have the conviction to go do something about it. And my last point here is I wonder if we tend to fuse those two processes, especially nowadays when, social media. This is something I'm thinking about, feeling about a lot. Yes, there's a sense that not all is right in the world. Yes, there's a sense that governments and corporations are, when they're in bed with each other, are deeply corrupt, and there's violence and warfare throughout the world. We tend to say, okay, there's this horrible thing happening. You must be radical in the way that I am radical. You must have this response immediately. And we got our Instagram stories or our Facebook posts or our YouTube videos or whatever And this is true within Star Wars fandom too, right? Um, and for Mon Mothma, it really tracks with her character of being so patient with different people. I think of her interaction with Thane Carell in Lost Stars, and how the guy's drunk and barfing on her shoe, and she's patient with him because she knows he's a kid figuring things out in life. And yeah, you don't want to be barfing on Mon Mothma's shoe. That's not a wise move, but it happens, and that's his story, and this is Lando's story. And this is comment on the role of this comic arc in this time period, in this comic run. I'm almost done, I promise. Mon Mothma embodies the ideals of respect for people's stories, and that's been her character this whole time. We're in such a great moment now in screen canon and paper canon, where we're actually getting to hear and see her own story, and how she's come to that place of leadership as respect and facilitating, fostering, empowering the stories of others. And so yeah, it's a moment of sitting down and chatting. So those are all my thoughts. An intellectual doing my thing. What do you think of this as a comic book? What did you think of that moment with Mon Mothma, etc.?
Yeah, no, it was very, very surprising to me how they managed how Charles Soule economically dealt with so much in one issue. I really thought that they were going to drag this out for like another 3 issues. And this leads me, this gives me hope. Okay, this gives me a lot more hope with the story, because I keep saying every time we talk about this issue, why are we dealing with this? This seems like an insignificant issue for the rebellion with Lando Calrissian. I get it. Yeah, do that later. They're with a freaking war right now. They don't have time for this. They're on the run, right? These guys have Mon Mothma. Okay, cool. We got her dealt with. We got her rescued. She's going to be the reason why he's not going to be in jail now. It's pretty likely to see, obviously. And maybe we'll get the battle to Tanab in issue number 50 to close things out. That's where I like foresee it. Just like predictions go into the future, 50 will be battle to Tanab. And that's how we end things off. But I was surprised with the content inside of the issue. Looking at it, the Mon Mothma stuff obviously was probably the shining thing in this issue that really stuck out. Getting to see a young Mon Mothma, I like this whole story about the peach and how you can extrapolate that to the entire act of rebellion. So that was really neat. Also, just the interview process of her with the kidnapper, and how I like the backstory of this character, how they're not like evil in a sense of like they're torturing somebody like just because they like doing that, but they're just like, yeah, we want the money. I want the money, obviously, but I want to have a conversation because I'm dealing with the high profile people of the galaxy. So I thought that was a really interesting thing from a character perspective of this character is getting into the heads of the high echelon of the galaxy and learning a bit like that. But then Mon Mothma, we get to see her power, not in physical form. We've never really seen her fight, but like her way with words. Why is she in a position she is in? It's because of this situation. We see an example of her being able to kind of spin. She's kind of like the person that, yeah, she is the prisoner in a sense, and she is the one that's, actually reflects back the power onto the person that's supposed to have the power in that situation, and then overwhelms her with these questions to even hit home something about Alderaan. It would seem to me that person is an Alderaan survivor, because it looked like she had quite a big reaction to, oh, I'm going to switch sides, and then she gets killed. So I love the idea about like this whatever they were called, these criminals and this mercenary gang, whatever they are, just how cutthroat they are, how secure they are, because then we get this whole really cool cutting back and forth with Lando, with Kez Dameron and Chewie. They're going to all these different holdout buildings and outposts and underground lairs that these guys have had, and you got the intercut with the Mon Mothma stuff. thought that was wonderful. So I really enjoyed this from opening salvo. I really enjoyed this one more than I thought.
Yeah. I'll say, I think the question of why is the rebellion dealing with this now? Again, I think that's part of the point, is to say why is someone being so vindictive? Is Medine being vindictive, or kind of in the line of with General Draven taking measures to protect rebellion security, measures that like what we see sort of with Andor, kind of what Cassian's going to wrestle with, of taking them, well, the same thing of assassinating Galen Erso potentially. What's the soul of the rebellion? This is about the soul of the rebellion. One thing, the Peach, I'm going to bring this up a little bit just because reminded me of so Saint Augustine in the 4th century, 5th century, around there. This is a bit of a throwback here.
Wow.
He tells the story of how it's called conversion experience, and his sense of his switch to say, and this is about him converting to Christianity and whatnot. But as concrete, he finds a pear, or no, it's that he steals a pear, and he feels so guilty about it, and he's all, oh no, I'm so. I can't. Well, it's kind of it's a mirror image of this, of what happens with Mon Mothma a little bit. For her, it's about seeing the evil of the Empire, and refusing to be complicit in it anymore. So it's a similar thing. For Augustine, it was he's a teenager, goes around, he steals a peach, and my quibble with peaches in general, or pears. Sorry, it was a pear, and I hate pears, but that's a whole other story. He steals a pear, and he feels so guilty about it, and it leads him to reflect on his complicity with evil and with sin, is the word, and just how intertwined he is, and the steps he needs to take to extract himself from the darkness and evil, and just the economic competition and the competition for popularity in the world, and that's the irony with both Augustine and Mon Mothma, is that they leave their cushy, easy circumstances that Hachi is her name, kind of asks Mon Mothma about, and goes and is it with joins this this group of folks who are of all different social classes and all different ethnicities and all different levels of education, and they're seeking to build a better world, and find a more meaningful life. And yeah, it's as concrete as a fruit, just as in the garden with Adam and Eve, it's as concrete as a fruit, and the consequence of taking a fruit versus not being able to have access to that fruit, is Mon Mothma's case. But the Grand Moff, he steals all the fruit, he steals all the peaches, right? So I thought that was an interesting little reference there. I don't know if it was intentional by Charles. I'd be, almost like that'd be maybe something I might ask him about. What is it about peaches? But yeah, but as a comic book, also that's the thing, is it again continues to justify. I know in the Discord, I forgot to plug the Discord. We had a little bit of a conversation about this afternoon. This story are really justifying tell Mon Mothma's story, tell Lando's story, and Charles being the one to tell Lando's story, because he's been telling it in comics for such a long time, and so well, and in such a rich way, the Lando Lobot story. And this is still, the implications of Lobot are still being felt here, right? He's on trial because of that. And yeah, so for him to carry this home and to make Lando, yeah, I mean, that's the thing these comics can do. That's the thing novels can do, especially comics. Give these other, 1B characters all this time in the sun in preparation for the 1A characters in the films to do more. Of course, Luke has done plenty. Vader has his own comic book run too, but the Vader run has Sabe and Ochia Bestoon and all these other characters in it too. So yeah, I'm happy where things go. I think, yeah, the Battle of Tanab to cap this off as a Lando comic, I think would make lots of sense. Oh yeah, also those droidicas.
Yeah. The droidicas. Oh my gosh. I guess Joel read this one then. Okay. I didn't know if he was reading flagship Star Wars. But yeah, good callback because it's great to see prequel stuff mixed with original trilogy characters.
Yeah.
Seeing Lando and Chewie dealing with a freaking prequel droid, that is so cool.
Yeah. Oh, and Joel, you saw the preview. Yeah. Give this a read. Yeah. What if the Battle of Tanab doesn't happen? Then, hopefully. I mean, the reason that makes sense to me is that it will is because, having followed Charles for a number of years, it's the type of thing he would have pitched Lucasfilm to say, yeah, I want to carry Lando's story through to the Battle of Tanab. And that he's pinpointed said, and in Pit when he was teasing number 50, he said this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I think the Battle of Tanab would be something he's wanted to do for a while. But if it doesn't happen, then hopefully it is something else just as meaningful, just as significant to Lando's story, to the story specifically.
Yeah, because at this point I'm just gonna write off that we'll get the Bothan story in this line. Maybe they'll do a mini series one day down the line eventually or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But
4 more issues. Number 50 is going to be a maxi. So anyway, go ahead.
Wait, what?
Well, you have 4 more issues, and number 50 is going to be a supersized. So.
Oh yeah. 47, 48, 49. Yeah.
Yeah. 50.
Oh yeah. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was there's a reference here. They don't outright admit it, but I got the feeling that they're gonna pull a Rogue One on Mothma in case things didn't go the way they would have. Like they would have shot her and killed her because she's too important. So like Kez could have like been like Cassian in that situation with Galen Erso and maybe just pull the trigger. They can't get to her. She's too important to be left alive. That's the worst case scenario, but they got to get the job done. So that darkness, that we carry through in Rebellion, it's not just all sunshines and rainbows and for freedom. Like they got to make the hard choices, and sometimes that's one that is absolutely horrific.
Yeah, that was a little more than just implied. I think that's well, because Maydeen says let's hope it doesn't come to this. Was it Maydeen or Akbar?
Yeah, somebody like that.
Yeah. I mean that's the interesting thing. Yeah, on the one hand, for the soul of the rebellion. On the other hand, part of the soul of the rebellion is Mon Mothma being willing to hold of herself, right? Being willing to make that kind of sacrifice, like Cassian does and Jin does at the end of the movie. She would have agreed that was the right call if that's the only option left. And that's the thing about Mothma's character. But thankfully, it doesn't come to that because she does have to get in touch with the Bothans. That is a Mon Mothma story. So hopefully, I agree. Hopefully, that does get told. Do we have? I mean, maybe we have 4 issues. Maybe he'll somehow connect Tanab with the Bothans. I don't know.
Yeah,
that'd be as like you said, economical. Just know that we're talking about economics.
Yeah, it's just like next issue is just going to be like Lando getting off the hook. I assume the trial will finally be over, and then we'll have maybe like 2 issues of like the in between the big ending, to like the preamble to the big ending at 50. I'm waiting any day, by the way, for solicits because I feel like we could finally get the information we've been looking for a year this month, because they'll be giving out September solicits, I think, this week, which will be the final issue, I think, of the series, if that's correct. So you think they would probably announce something, be like, this is the final issue, or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, we know number 50 is the final issue. I saw something about that. That solicits are tomorrow. So maybe I'll actually pay attention to them this time.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. Again, I'm kind of wondering if they're just gonna let us say make us hold our horses and say who knows what, right? Again, there's this con in October
Mm-hmm.
that you're not gonna go to, and I hope I can go to.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better go. Hopefully.
And June 9th, tickets. The
Oh yeah, June
fan
9th,
verification
June 9th.
pre-sale. I should look into press passes just for the heck of it. But I think the ship is sale. But no, yeah. I mean, I still think that's another possibility. This is a very Joel-esque take. Oh, not that one. What if they don't announce anything? And to say, okay, let's have a break in any kind of longer story or big story between like October to December, and then announce something huge at New York Comic Con, and let's kick off the 10th year of Star Wars comics, canon comics, with a bang. 2025, because 2015, January 2015. So this before Skywalker Strikes #1.
Mm-hmm.
January 2025. The ongoing saga of Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Something like that. Who knows? So do you any further thoughts on this comic number 46?
Yes, I do actually. So I liked the moment when Lando first finds Mon Mothma. I thought that was a shocker because I thought that battle would play out a lot longer than it did, especially that one jerk that killed his own person and walked right out. Never seen what happened to him, but I like the fact that Chewie had the bowcaster aimed at Lando the whole time, and then Lando's, or was it Leia or Lando, just said like, "Okay, put it down." He finally put it down after,
It might have been
or Mama, yeah.
Was it Kess?
No, I don't think Kess was in the room, but yeah,
No.
it was tense. It was a good issue. Again, what the heck with the covers? Luke is on there as the Vanguard, and I'm like, ready to see Luke like using the saber against these fools, and there is no Luke in sight again.
No, bait and switch. Bait and switch. Yeah, again, very economical with this book, and this was a classic Charles Soule comic in which you just get caught up in the story. It was, as a comic book too. I mean, the ideas in it are fascinating. As a comic book, yeah, it was very much this exciting, intriguing action. Yeah, some of it is them sitting, but yeah, like it was really effective to break it up with all the searching of the safe houses and going through and find the droideka, and and Lando taking the risk and being the one to take the risk. He's got to prove himself to this rebellion again, and we know he does. We know he will. But yeah, it's an important thing. Again, payoff and set up and payoff. We talk about getting us to these moments in Return of the Jedi. Whereas, even though the questions that are set up by these comic books, by what happens, when Lando effectively betrays rebellion security with his talkie droid to go get Lobot out or go fix Lobot, is it's what I was saying before. It's still this question: is he a scoundrel for looking out for #1, or has he gone through those 2 steps that Mon Mothma describes? And what is it about? What is it for him? Now, I do think it was Bespin. This deal's getting worse every time, all the time. But yeah, even this ordeal, and he's finding himself in it. He's finding in himself the conviction to continue to be a rebel, to be squarely with, whatever, the Alliance to Restore the Republic, the Alliance to take down the Empire, whatever. Yeah, it's again an exciting and well written character story. So yeah, for him to be the one there who's there to break down the wall, and so. But yeah, any last things before we move on?
Yeah. One more thing. I know I said it was before, but I wonder if we are gonna get this link to Consul Giorgio, because like this does seem so out of left field that this happened and how fast it got resolved. The eternity of Lando. I feel like she might be connected to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And Lando doesn't know that she pulled the strings, but when he hired her for a favor,
Yeah.
she might have contacted them. But then again, it's like, how did Chewie and Lando know about the safe houses as well? Like, there are some
True.
dotted lines that I think aren't connected just yet, because it seems like, again, too quick for them to bring this in and just resolve it instantly, like as fast as they did. Like, there's got to be a lingering connection here, I feel like.
And that's interesting also in that, just how Maydeen and Kess is all, this is Kess stammering, by the way, is all, do we pull the trigger if it's the only option? Lando still having these ties to this underworld, these shady contacts. Um, can he continue to be a rebel? And are people going to trust him anyways, despite the people that he happens to know? I mean, I think Leia, for example, trusts him because of the people he happens to know. People can help. Well, he that's just it. He's able to infiltrate Jabba's palace, and help be part of the plan to get Han out. So, yeah, it's a thing. That's the question. Are we? And that's the question that I think Mon Mothma is challenging Maydeen and others, and even Akbar's. Are you going to accept people even as the story that they have? Are you going to accept that their conviction is at face value, even if they might be harder to trust sometimes? I mean, it's almost I have in my mind, we saw Phantom Menace on Sunday night, not in the theater, unfortunately, but saw it again. And
Nice.
are people going to trust Jar Jar, even though he's clumsy and an idiot, and goes the wrong way and got banished because he crashed into Boomer? Qui-Gon has the ability to do that anyway, and to continue tracking with him, because maybe he has something to offer. Not just something to offer, but he has himself to offer. And Mon Mothma at this moment finally sees that Lando has crossed over definitively, has gotten to that second moment. That's why she's gonna get rule in his favor. Yeah, it's a question. Do we accept people? Yeah, we don't have to trust people wholesale and wholeheartedly. You can still be prudent, but are we able to to give people opportunities, especially when we need them to, and when they're willing to? So, yeah. All right. Last call.
Okay, that's it for now.
So speaking of things that we do know coming up, so we don't know what's going on in the main runs and all that. What we do know is High Republic, and the announcements for High Republic keep going on. And so we got a bit of news here. High Republic Adventures of Fear. This news just dropped on Monday. It was written by, so this is gonna be this new four issue run from Dark Horse, High Republic Adventures. Be written by George Mann, art by Vincenzo Riccardi, colors by Michael Attier, and cover by Eduardo Mello. And I will show that cover right now and read the description. This is exciting. This is gonna be fun. Straight from the Dark Horse's mouth, from their website. Uncover the mystery of the Echo Stones. We're diving into phase 3. This is full bore into the way forward. Jedi Knight Reith Silas and Jedi Padawan Amadeo Azazo are charged with delving into the Jedi archives to learn more about the mysterious Echo Stones and their force-amplifying powers. Their journey will ultimately lead them outside the safety of the Jedi archives into a perilous adventure. In their search, they uncover the dark legend of the ancient Sith Lord Darth Ravi, who we see here. And I look at him and I can hear the harpsichord, the Doctor Strange harpsichord in my head. Ancient Sith Lord Darth Ravi and his quest to solve an ancient puzzle that could grant him power beyond all imagination or destroy him. Star Wars The High Republic Adventures Phase 3 Echoes of Fear #1 of 4 will arrive in comic shops on August 21st, 2024. So yeah, there we got it. We have another Sith Lord, a new Sith Lord and his Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
So here's a few things here. The Echo Stones, those are the things on the end of the Rod of Daybreak and the Rod of Seasons, right?
Never was confirmed, man. Never was confirmed. I mean,
confirmed,
we could draw speculation, and I'm happy that these are coming back because this goes way back to the one shot by Claudia Gray that had Barnabas and the Twi'lek Padawan,
Mhm.
and they were dealing with finding that thing way back in what was it?
That's phase 2, yeah.
It was like I'm trying to do the damn math, but it's 350 years before Phantom Menace, you know.
Yeah, so 100,
Uh,
150 years before this, yeah.
yeah. So it's, and there was the Echo Stones, and I was wondering, I was like, where is this connecting? Like, what? How does this fit in? It felt like such a standalone story for no ramifications at all or for the future. So it is great to see them pulling on this thread once again, and it's awesome to have an acknowledgement of a Sith Lord,
Yeah.
that we've never heard of. He is a name drop as a Sith Lord, not just a dark side user, a Sith Lord. We don't get a lot of them, so that to me is exciting in its own right.
Yeah. You got the red lightsaber there. Tis the season for potential Sith Lords popping up where we don't expect them.
Yep.
In High Republic stories. I don't know. I'm still not sure about the Acolyte one, but yeah, I mean, I love everything about this. Like you said, picking up on that thread, that in this one shot that was delayed and had some issues. Not the story itself didn't have issues, I don't think, but yeah, it was just a random one shot. You know, interesting to see if it is about the rod of power, whatever it is. That there is a Sith connection to the Nameless, and finally we're getting that at least hinted at. We'll get that hinted at.
Yeah.
This will carry us, by the way. This will carry us into August, September, October, November at least. So there we go.
Also,
Yeah, good.
Reef freaking Silas, man.
That's what I was gonna say. My guy.
Yep.
And this is what I always figured is, he'll be tasked with researching something and figuring out something about the Nameless and its history.
Yep.
And that's again another thing I love about it is my guy. Yeah, he starts with the archives, and he's gonna take what he's learned in the archives, him and Amadeo, and then go on this perilous adventure that he's ready for, when he's able to, to get himself up for. And the arc that this guy has gone through
Yeah.
from phase 1, where he just wants to go hide in the archives,
Yep.
afraid of the real world today, the real world of his time. And of course his master Jorah Mali is all, no, we're gonna go to Starlight Beacon, I'm gonna go get killed in a battle. But to the point where Jedi Knight Reed Silas, who we see get knighted,
Jedi Knight.
we saw him get knighted at the end of
Midnight Horizon.
Horizon, which one of my favorite moments in all of High Republic.
Yep. Same.
And yeah, he's gonna go, and he's armed with the power of history. He's gonna go save the day, but also with the living force in the present. And gonna find a key to going forward with the Nameless. And that, it's fascinating. It involves the Sith. It involves him facing the dark side. Front and center, front on. It's supposed to be hiding in the archives of this gleaming temple, supposedly safe from the dark side, which we know
Yep.
isn't. But not just, and I don't just mean the Logan Vault. I mean, everything we see with the Jedi 200 years later, and their inability necessarily to adequately respect history while also embracing the needs of the present. And and Wreath, to me, really represents the ability to hold those two together, right? It really represents what Rey is challenged to do in The Last Jedi, is to say, here's the history of the Jedi, here's the legacy of the Jedi. Here Luke is right. They let Darth Sidious rise from the Empire and wipe them out, but they also, as a Jedi, who also brought back Anakin Skywalker, who saved the day, who is also, by the way, Jedi Knight, Anakin Skywalker. So the Force pushing these folks to say we can make a meaningful impact in our world today, in our galaxy today, and are again armed with the lessons of history, allowing history to be a servant to the needs of the present. So that's what really strikes me about this. In an adventures comic, hopefully at an all ages comic, they'll be able to go through this. I would have loved to see this as an adult comic from Marvel, frankly, but
Yeah.
but I mean, that being said, HRA, they've never dumbed it down.
No, they get away with some pretty
They do.
crazy stuff that I wouldn't think they would have for kids
Yeah.
sometimes. So
So, so yeah, really looking forward to this and everything George Mann has written. I've eaten up. I've been there for.
yep. Eye of Darkness was so good.
Yeah. Any further thoughts on this news?
Nope.
No? All right. I'm gonna take a swig of coffee anyway. It's decaf, guys. I had a meeting. It's decaf. Yeah. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. August 21st. Looking a little bit ahead then. Get these banners sorted out here. A little bit ahead to next Wednesday. We got $4. We got a bit of a doozy. This coming Wednesday. Darth Maul, Black, White, Red #2. Django Fett #3. The regular High Republic Adventures run #6, and then Saber for Hire #2 coming out next week. Also, Star Wars adjacent, Bloody Charles Soule's Bloody Dozen #6 and Undiscovered Country #29. Do check those out. I think I know the answer to this question, but I could be wrong. What are you looking forward to most in this week?
Jango Fett.
Yeah.
There's going to be a big showdown between a bunch of bounty hunters.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm trying to remember like what happened in #2. I should know, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it has been a while. I feel like because it might have come out in the beginning of the month last time, and now it's coming out in the last week of the month. So it's almost been like 2 months. Crap. Now I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, we're pulling a Dominic here. We're gonna. A lot of folks have difficulty remembering that happened. Yeah, I mean, I remember it being interesting. I remember being what's her face? Or saying.
Oh, he got badly hurt. Jango Fett got badly hurt by that other new bounty hunter on the spot, and he was repairing himself with back to spray. He got a tip from somebody saying, "Meet me at these coordinates," and we're thinking it's the girl.
Okay.
Am I getting stories mixed up? There's some girl that's involved or something.
Yeah.
I think we haven't seen her, but they mentioned a girl.
I mean, Aura Singh's involved, and Aura Singh's on his trail.
Yeah.
And we're speculating is that a certain Darth Tyrannus who's, or I guess this is too early for Darth Tyrannus, but certain somebody looking for a certain clone template potentially. That's always in the back of our minds with this one. Yeah, and then Black, White, Red. That one again. I'm trying to remember what happened with #1. I remember it being.
Oh, I know exactly what happened in that one for some reason. So basically, Maul has a mission from Sidious to go aboard this prison freighter, and there's 3 psychotic, different-looking aliens that are just causing madness. So yeah, he basically goes there, wipes them all out, and then crashes the ship, and he ends up on like a snow planet. These are all going to be anthology. I don't think there's going to be really any direct connection because they're all different writers,
Yeah, I feel like this one's gonna be a little more connected though.
Oh, okay, cool.
Than that, just because I guess the story kind of wraps up a little bit, but in issue #1. But yeah, it's true. There'll be different writers, but that makes. I mean, just the way the Vader one. It's gonna be somewhere in between, is my sense. I could be wrong about this. Well, I'll eat my words next week. But you know how the Vader one had completely independent stories and then a line. This is a different structure. This is all kind of more standard comic. Interesting to note, all of these comics take place before the Phantom Menace, right? Or at least before the Phantom Menace. That's I think that's maybe a first for comics. For a week with more than 2 comics in a week. All 4 of these take place before. No original trilogy or like Joel was commenting here. No Vader #47. I know.
Wait, were we supposed to get a Vader this? Did we get one? We already got one, right? We
Yeah.
already got the Vader earlier in the month. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it a few weeks ago. We're getting to Exegol. We'll get that. We got an Exegol. We'll get more. Get some more Exegol. Don't worry. Yeah. So looking forward to that. Well, yeah, looking for all these comics. I think just continuing with Lula and Zine. Oh goodness, like Lula and Zine. Lula chucking some Jedi robes in the fire.
Hey, I got something for you. That's very important. That I don't know if you can pull an Audible and put it in the chat real quick. I just sent it in Messenger. We almost forgot to mention another comic that got announced in the last couple weeks that we haven't talked about.
Let's see. We're doing an Audible here. Doing an Audible. Oh yeah, the stories from Beyond the Storm Wall.
I don't know if you could post that real quick in the cover.
It'll be too complicated.
All right.
When does that come out? Refresh my memory.
All right.
In a few months.
It's a mini series.
Yeah.
Coming from Dark Horse later this year. We don't have any kind of confirmation.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about that one next week.
Dispatches from the Inclusion Zone.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
That has a great cover, and it's from Jake Bartok, who he's got a really cool story because he was never even attached to Star Wars for like the longest time, but he makes like amazing like alternate reality versions of characters as like knights and stuff like that with like a very distinctive art style.
Mm-hmm.
It does remind me of Phil Noto a little bit now that I'm looking at it.
The color
and now Star Wars has basically hired him to do the covers for some of the comics, and he's going to be the covers at least for #1 for Dispatches from the Inclusion Zone. But looks like really exciting stuff. I mean, we got Keith Trennis, Elzar Mann, we got Ty York, we got the one dude that's the investigator from Trail of Shadows.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. So I'm thinking that this is going to be the equivalent of Shadows of Starlight that Marvel had, but for Dark Horse's version of that, where you're probably going to get like these one-off adventures of all the characters that were beyond the storm wall at a certain point in phase 2 or 3 or wave 2 or 3 of phase 3. I'm thinking.
And that's interesting because I mean, all these characters show up in different other stories.
Mm-hmm.
Keeve is in the Marvel comic. Elzar's in the novel. Elzar and Avar and Lerv. And you got Crash Wong in there too. And which the blue guy in the front? What's his name again? Court. Forzala, one of the two. So that's definitely exciting. We'll get into more of that next week. I'll read the solicits for that one. Definitely looks exciting. Also, Republic Adventures, Dark Horse. I wonder, is this going to be an ongoing or is this going to be a one shot? I feel like it might be like a longer one shot.
Crap! I lost. Yep. I lost, and this is actually going to lead into my biggest comment.
All right.
All right. We don't have to spend too long on this, but it really feels like Lucasfilm has pulled the plug on High Republic marketing. And it's really sad to see because phase 1, we had the High Republic show with Christina Ariel like every other month. We were getting constant updates on StarWars.com. We were getting YouTube little shorts, and we didn't get a single one of those. Like the fact that I had to dig through like a Star Wars fan site, Star Wars splash pages, like Twitter from like days ago to like dig for this issue. Come on. Is it that hard to just put a StarWars.com article? Is it going to cost that much resources to just post a couple of JPEGs and like have somebody just write about these comics? Like, come on. Like you guys could do better. And there's no excuse.
Especially when there's going to be a story set 100 years after this. In the High Republic, considered High Republic. I do think, that being said, I do think a few things. So I get that. Would it be nice to have more of those animated explainer things? What is an animated explainer catching us up and saying what is what happened with the storm wall and the Inclusion Zone, and maybe something kind of It would be a spoiler for Shadows of Starlight, but that was almost a year ago, so that's okay. I get that. I think because the releases are more spread out, they just have less to say, or maybe it feels like they do.
Mm.
Maybe they figured those who are in are already in, and if you're not in, then well, you got to catch up and
Yeah.
whatnot. I don't know. It's
There
an interesting observation. It's a good point. But,
and real quick, one last thing because I'm have it on my mind. I gotta look back at this. Okay, here we go. There was a reply to a tweet about somebody saying on Twitter something along the lines of like, "This will be all over in a year."
what
And
will?
what will we do then or something? And then
Oh yeah,
Michael
yeah.
C.
The Michael
Blaine says,
Flynn.
"Oh, we have a few ideas. ... And this is somebody looking at like all their High Republic books
Yeah,
and like, oh, I guess it's over. And it's like, so what are they cooking? I've been speculating that maybe at Celebration next year they could possibly pull back the curtain on what's next because by that point it'll basically be over.
yeah.
So you got to think that they already are in the midst of developing and something, and maybe that is why they're being so quiet with the High Republic marketing. It's because they're all their resources, I guess, maybe are going into
Yeah.
whatever this next big thing is. So
And maybe they also figure with the Acolyte that'll be marketing enough. People will go back to yeah, who's this? Who's this bald green woman with this light whip? What's that about? Oh yeah, let's go back and read this young reader novel by Justina Ireland.
yeah.
Why not? But I mean, I'm here for it. That'd be great. I read it. I loved it. It was great. Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know. I mean, I hope they don't. That's an interesting thing. Like we think about cons as the big thing that they reveal stuff at now.
And they revealed these comics at a con, by the way.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
it was like it slipped probably under everybody's radar, except I pay attention to stuff, obviously, because we do a podcast every week. But it's like,
Mhm.
it just irks me because you see them every time Marvel puts out a new comic, it's like they're immediately like, oh, there's Inquisitors, oh, there's another adaptation. Why? What is the slight against Dark Horse? It just feels like Dark Horse gets like the crappy end of the stick all the time when it comes to like, and the same thing happened with IDW a lot. They just treat like almost like it's a lower tier, which is kind of
I
crappy,
mean, you know what it is. You know who gets the revenues directly? Marvel to Disney.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if that's what it is, but also, I mean,
Oh yeah.
in a way that it is true, right? In that, like, Marvel is the more serious adult comics. Again, I just was just saying that's not really true for High Republic, but maybe there's still this impression. You know, hyperspace stories was all ages. Uh, the was it Tales of Villainy was all ages. Um, so and then there's good old fashioned. Joel's bringing this up. Good old fashioned two different publishers. But I guess what you're saying is why Lucasfilm is keying on the Marvel ones and not the Dark Horse ones. Maybe because the Marvel ones are the more serious ones. Maybe because of in-house House of Mouse synergy. But yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't know. I do wonder. Yeah, I guess Celebration when they announce the next big thing. I almost wonder if they. Here's the thing. It'll be 2025. We've gone through COVID. We've gone through all these webinars. You know, the way High Republic was first announced was on this online.
Oh
And
yeah.
not the way Project Luminous was announced. Project Luminous was announced in Chicago.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe follow the similar pattern. Say the next thing and a hint about the next thing in Japan. I don't know. They probably not. They might just do the full on review of it. But we'll have just finished High Republic, so I don't know if I don't know if I want the full hype. I want to breathe with this, right?
Yeah, you're right. I think
And so to say, okay, what maybe some sense of what the next thing is, and Joel also makes another point about how all the movies, and that's the thing. This is all integrated with all the movie marketing and all the focus and attention for Lucasfilm. focus attention for Star Wars fans. I would be happy if they followed the same pattern as as they did with High Republic. Just give us a bit of a tease in Japan, and then in in 2026, even if there might not even be a celebration in 2026.
Oh, there's totally gonna be, dude.
In 2026,
There's gotta be one, because if you think about it, it's too good to pass up. I mean, the guys at the Star Wars Underworld, I think they're on something, because they're like, why not just do the premiere of Mando and Grogu if it's gonna be just a
yeah,
couple
oh
weeks away?
yeah, given
Just
them
that's
using
the perfect thing. You could rent out
Sure.
a whole freaking stadium if they need
That's
to.
Joel's
You
point.
know,
Yeah,
they gotta it'll have been 2 years since it'll have been 3 years since they had it in the United States at that point.
be 4 years.
So they can't
It'll be
wait
4
another year.
years.
People will go freaking berserk.
Yeah, well, it will have been 4 years since Anaheim. I'm just thinking, okay, where do they put it in 2027? But that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, I'd be happy if they give a hint in Japan, and then even just a webinar in 2026 or 20 or whatever. But again, they could have a Lucasfilm Publishing. Oh, by the way, the next big event thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'd be happier if 2027 was the bigger splash. I don't know. For me, I think these anniversaries. I like these anniversaries. It'll be 50 years of A New Hope. It'll be 10 years of The Last Jedi. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. 2017. So yeah, that's your point. So we'll see. Be 10 years of Charles Soule's Darth Vader. There's that. So yeah, all these questions we don't know. All we know is next Wednesday.
Yep.
Back when oh yeah, one thing I forgot to do. Well, I'll do that again in a second. But anyway, I think it's a good place to wrap things up at the hour mark, just shy of the hour mark there. Chris, glad you're back. Glad your computer's alive.
Yes.
Thanks for coming back from the technological death. Anyway, speaking of which, then where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me over on Twitter, talking about computers as well, and video games and movies and everything else pop culture over there. Ramping up to a very busy year. I'll be talking about a lot of Game of Thrones coming up, maybe some boys, maybe definitely some Acolyte. Oh man, those clips that they've been putting out that I've been checking out looks pretty good. So stay up to date on all that stuff, and also follow me, or subscribe rather, to my YouTube channel, where you'll see me a lot more often, I'm sure, as well. With the Acolyte ramping up, I'll be seeing if I can drum up some more content, but you'll at least be hearing me and the guys talking about on Outer Rim Transmission every week, which is our Sunday Sunday live stream over there. We usually go live around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We were live last week talking about the Barasofi episodes of Tales of the Empire. So we have completed our discussion of all of that. And the next couple weeks, we'll get into the breather period before we go right into another big series. So be on the lookout for that. And you can also find my writing over at Substack or starraptor.substack.com for more over there. But yeah, it's been great to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. House of the Dragon. It's a great series. I'm going to put this on YouTube right now. Hopefully, Noah, we can spare you for a few hours on a Monday night to help us talk about Acolyte. If not, I understand. Help us talk about Acolyte, and then Living Force. I want to talk about that on Iron Cannon this Monday on Iron Cannon. Talking about, speaking of anniversaries, we were talking about at least 9.5 years, 10 years of 10 years since A New Dawn. So 10 years of paper canon, of Disney canon. So you check that out right here on the Underworld YouTube channel, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, Monday. This past Monday, we had our Phantom Menace at 25 party. Hannah joined us. She was the only person as in the only right choice to get for that. She's the best person we could get for that. So, as in, she was the correct choice, is what I'm saying. She's the best possible person we could choose. So it was a great time, great conversation there. We talked about the Acolyte. Yeah, check out Ion Cannon, because we're definitely going full podcast area for The Acolyte on June 4th. But until then, we are gonna do a little bit of stretching it out and getting 10 years of Star Wars canon, and then the week after, we're probably going to do a final predictions about the Acolyte episode. Again, going full podcast area, but here on the Tractor Beam, we're going to still talk about comics because it's what we do here. Oh yeah, I should also say, follow me on Twitter and Twitter on NEG485, Instagram and Threads at MNEG1138, and a bunch of soccer, probably some Star Wars, some Taylor Swift, some Star Trek. Oh yeah, Discovery coming to an end there too. Yeah, definitely all things there, and of course Ion Cannon Pod, EYEONCANON POD. Yeah, let's get back to this. Really see you next week. Darth Maul, Black Red Red, Django Fett, High Republic Adventures, Saber for Hire. Please do check out your brick and mortar comic book shop for those physical copies. Of course, check out digital if you want, but check out go to your brick and mortar comic book store and support your local small business for that. But until then, Chris, glad you're back. Happy reading.